I am Del Webb. After years of playing music throughout Texas, my co-host Brian Casparitas and myself have seen a lot of historic buildings on our journeys, some restored to their former glory and some that are hanging on by a single nail. So we set out on a mission to restore these buildings and bring new life to them. So join us as we take a trip back in time. This is Touring History. This is Susan McCain, owner of the Ott Hotel. From the time we hit the front desk, the history was flowing before we could set up the equipment. This is our interview. Now, there's this rumor going around Bonnie and Clyde might have came through here. Is that a story that might be true, or is this a rumor?
That is true.
It is true.
It is true. Way back when, you'd come through the front door, and the clerk would be standing behind this counter, and the clerk would say, "Welcome to the Ott Hotel." And the first thing that the clerk would do is to check all the men's faces in the crowd, because right behind you is Melvin and Clyde Barrow's wanted posted.
Get a picture of this.
There used to be a little cafe a couple of streets over on Lael Drive, and it was called Lael Cafe, and they were also had gone there to eat. They had done some things at the courthouse. We know that they didn't rob the bank, but this was actually the last place they stayed before they went to Galveston for their family reunion, and then, of course, we know what happened to them after that. But yes, Bonnie and Clyde did spend quite a bit of time in Liberty, Texas. Awesome. Also, during Liberty's bicentennial, we have John Wayne stayed here. Okay. Dale Evans, Roy Acuff, and the Playboys stayed here.
All right.
Some newer people would be Dan Rather was here once. Ron Stone from Houston, he's a broadcaster. Ron. He used to stay here for a while. So there's a very long list, but nobody wants to talk about it.
Well, I see you have some artifacts down here in the counter. Is this stuff that you found in town or found in the building?
This is the original check-in counter, and then everything in here is original in the hotel. Our historical marker comes under two categories. One is transportation, because that was the whole reason the hotel was built, because of the train.
Right.
Okay, and the oil boom that was going on. And second, the category is called a drummer hotel. You know what a drummer is?
No, well, I'm a musician. I know what that drummer is.
No, not that kind of drummer. Salesmen used to be drummers because they would go out and drum up business. So they called them drummers.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Beat the path, drummers. Right down here is a set of 1905 Bibles. And that's exactly what the drummer would have used on the train from town to town or wagon to wagon, and would have taken the orders, and then the merchandise would have come later.
Yes.
Another thing I point out to a lot of people is this little yellow teapot.
Right here.
On the bottom of it, it is hand engraved Czechoslovakia.
Oh, wow.
So originally Czechoslovakia has not existed as a union state in almost 100 years because it got split up. So I remind everybody, especially the young ones, it didn't come FedEx, it didn't come UPS.
Right.
It came on a ship, and then it came on a train, and then it came on a wagon. So let's say you come to get a job in the oil field, okay? And you work a couple weeks and you finally get a paycheck. You come to town. What are you going to do?
Well, I'm going to say it on camera. Party. Yeah.
You're going to get a room. Then you're going to get something to eat. Upstairs was the old barber shop, so I'm going to show you that.
Okay.
And then, of course, you had that non-existent alcohol that no Texan would ever do because it was illegal.
Right.
And then you brought a couple of them with you, girls.
Got it.
And so when we get upstairs, that's going to explain a whole lot of that. This tells us that Liberty's 50,000 brick veneer modern hotel built by contractor Eliza Birch for Mrs. and Mrs. J.J. Ott. So we know they spent $50,000 to build it. 4 years later, they're paying $10,000 in taxes. Okay.
They made their money back pretty quick.
Yeah. So either there was we figured it up, about 300,000 people a year would have had to come through here, standing about where you're standing.
Wow.
To be able to pay just those taxes, and that doesn't include the operating cost, employees, food. That's just the taxes.
So there's no telling that who actually has gone up and down this hallway.
Correct.
That's awesome. That gives you a good feeling.
And then also, a lot of people don't realize that the Ott Hotel for several years sold the Greyhound bus tickets. So if you wanted to get on the Greyhound bus,
Remember that bus.
This is where you would be to get your ticket and wait on the porch for the bus to come by. So it didn't quit. When the railroad stopped, the buses started. And then when the buses started, most everybody had cars.
Right.
So all of this section is about when we got our historical marker, different magazines and things. And then all of this is different reporters, ABC News 13.
Okay, I see a deal here on ghosts. So y'all have a few.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Let's go this way.
A few guests that aren't paying right now.
Yeah, we're going to talk about them when we get down here. So I tell everybody we're a little bit more popular in the middle of nowhere than people realize. But being in the middle of nowhere causes part of a problem because we don't get the kind of traffic flow and the kind of guests we need to keep the upkeep of the building.
Yes, ma'am.
So this lady right here, Miss Abbott, she's written about 14 books, and that's her latest one from last year, and that's our whole chapter about the Ott Hotel. And that helped. I'm going to explain these little purple things to you in just a minute. Now on this wall, these are all the historical markers within walking distance of this building.
Wow.
Then you have Mr. Colonel Pickett, who also owned this property in 1850 after Mr. Woods, the Texas Declaration of Independence man, had it. Colonel Pickett, there is actually a plaque for him at the courthouse. He was a lawyer here in town, and this is where his brick red building was, and he had the first telegraph.
Oh, okay.
And that brings us to, that's how Liberty found out about Seguin Pass, the war at Seguin
What was
Pass.
going on up there?
Exactly, because Colonel Pickett actually had the first telegraph on this property. So then again, just some more history
Another
on top
starting
of it.
point in history.
Another very important part of history. And then of course you have the bicentennial, since Liberty's been so old, and Liberty's actually had 7 different courthouses over the years. So.
Okay.
Now, you asked about our extra guest.
Right.
Everywhere you see one of these little purple markers, it says in remembrance of our past guest. That is not the people who were here this weekend.
Right, okay.
These are our unpaying guests, the ones that never left. And so we have on the computer in the lobby an extreme amount of evidence about our extra guest. We don't call them ghosts, we don't call them spirits, we call them guests. We actually have 26 of them. We know their names, we know how they died, where they died, all of that stuff. We have names, Vicky and Lucy and Bob, and we have all these. We have
So a lot of these people that are still here, you can confirm that they're like death records or anything like that. Okay.
Exactly. Family affidavits.
So it's not just a story. You can act like you got proof for them. That's all.
Yes.
That is
So
great.
every one of these, and in fact, last night they left at 4:30 this morning. We had an investigation group from Beaumont here.
Oh, okay.
And they left at 4:30 this morning. And so they got some very interesting things on their recorder.
Well, maybe if you get a chance to talk to them, you can tell them to contact us and kind of tell us their story, so we can air it.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Sure, that'd be awesome.
So,
I love the hotel.
When I went upstairs, I felt this presence.
You're
When you
catching
went to
something
the-
upstairs?
Oh yeah, and I took a couple photos. I said, you don't mind if I take a picture of here, right? And I felt this presence, this cold air just.
yeah, we're gonna go up there.
I would believe there would probably still be something here.
Not something. Now,
Okay.
now, if you look at this, you will think that the drywall guy did a really bad job. And he did. Because there's a crack here and a crack here. But if you look at this door here, and the dormer at the top, that used to be the old-fashioned air condition, you would open it up and get the airflow. All of those doors are still in here. To bring it up to fire code, they made me,
Pull them out.
I just covered them up.
Oh,
So they've all
okay.
been screwed, and on this apartment, on the inside, they just think that this is their living room wall. Okay, on the outside, if the cracks weren't here, you would think this is just a wall.
So there's a whole nother part of the building right back here.
Yes.
There's another story right here just behind this
Right,
wall.
right here, correct. So downstairs would have been 25 doors, And upstairs would have been 25 doors. There were 50 hotel rooms. So the doors are still here, just nobody knows they're there but me and the blue guy. And the blue guy is really nice, he's about your height, has black hair, got pictures of him. He comes in and out. He doesn't know that this is a wall. Comes out.
He still sees it as the
As
way
a
it
door.
was when
As
it
a
was
door.
here.
Has on a really nice blue shirt. He just doesn't have any legs. And we have
You're catching him from like the waist up then.
Yeah, and he goes this way and down and out the alley door.
And that goes to the outside?
That goes to the alley. We share the alley with the Grand Ole Opry here in town.